Let's talk a little bit some general stuff about your festival. What kind of festival is it?
We are from the World Film Festival, and it is a documentary film festival which is rooted in visual anthropology. It started pretty much as a visual anthropological film festival, but of course, as it is open to general audience, not only academics, but it is for people from town and internationally. So it means that it is very flexible, this saying that there is anthropology in it.
What are the criteria of selection for the film, and what kind of film?
That's actually hard to say.
Only anthropological? Not
not really. It's kind of difficult to say because we have a 4-member committee or program team who is making selection, and it's
maybe the process of selection.
So the program comes out of this, as we all do this tough job of watching all the movies and heading together kind of meeting, and we hold the long discussions to select the film. So it's easiest would be said it's out of the choices of the committee. There are some unwritten rules probably which I couldn't even say what are the laws. They come out much of this sensation, but somehow the people are pretty different, everybody, so probably we just balance each other. So.
It is maybe one formal criteria is that this main program is chosen from the films made during 2 last years. Yes. And anything older would be part of special programs. We don't make them a lot, but there are like retrospectives and so on. And when starting how the films get into our office, so we combine both a little bit checking out what is out there, like from the festivals or markets, but mostly we send out the call for films.
Mm-hmm.
So of course
and this is majority. We just expect people to send them in.
Yeah, and if you talk about the main program, not the special program or retrospectives, then of course it's a little bit different each year because it's as the films are going to be selected, you already see what type of festival it could be and what themes or subjects you are kind of highlighted and how do you combine, because it's I mean the creating of a program is an artistic process in itself too. I mean, to make it work together as well as the sole screenings.
Mm-hmm.
Around how many films apply every year?
It's as we are talking here, we have just a call for films ending, and we assume that it will go up to 400, which is a lot for us because World Film is a non-competition festival, so it should reduce the entries.
It's only screening, not
it's
competition.
Only, yes.
Mm-hmm. Discussions and screening, but no prizes and awards. So this is why the number is relatively high.
Yes,
going.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we have like I think probably we are kind of in a positive side for filmmakers because they like to come back often to us. But we've had this discussion whether we should have competition or not, and I myself are quite pro no competition because it keeps away a lot of things I don't like with the competitions.
Why?
I think if the point with the festival is a meeting between filmmakers and audience and between audience itself, I've seen in other festivals sometimes it may happen that everybody's waiting the results of competition and then the results are announced and it's like, oh yes, that's good, but I really liked your film, and it's kind of creates these kind of tensions you really don't need if you're focused on meeting between people.
Mm-hmm. But in what way the quality, the value of the films grow up every year to year? What do you feel about it?
It is actually a very ambivalent situation because once now it's very common that the film submissions are going online and so on. There is this change, but when this started a few years ago, we also decided to go for it, to go to online platform, and this meant that actually the quality dropped immensely. We don't have also this entry fees and so on, because as I like to put it, was that actually just the industry took control of it, and they didn't check very carefully what is the festival they are sending it in. So I think that the way we get our films nowadays, it is a big part of it, as also Siim said, that it is kind of network based, like the filmmakers we already know and their colleagues, and this is the word to mouth, like spreading this information largely also but it helps to us to keep kind of quality, because people imagine what kind of event are they sending their films in. And it also applies actually for distributors, because I think each festival develops also a network of certain distributors who work with them back. So this kind of networking, I think it's part of quality control.
Is it easier now or more difficult to make a documentary in Estonia?
As a film or festival?
No, a film. To get funds for the film, to broadcast.
This and that, because I don't know what about with the long feature documentaries, but for example, these national broadcasts has this program called Estonian Stories, which are low budgeted but nice half an hour movies which they make every year, which gives a nice opportunity to do both already established filmmakers but also for young newcomers.
Yes, but at the same time, some of my friends and colleagues say that recently it is going more and more competitive, and the only way to be really in this as a business, not as a newcomer, for example, is to go to joint productions, and that you can't cope with the local funding anymore. It is weird, because it's always cooperation is something which the funders actually stress, but the filmmakers are feeling it only now. And now, as they go also, instead of only Estonian money to this international one, now they realize that it is very, very tough. Because Estonia is so small, so also the film industry is really small, and especially documentary.
How many documentaries are produced in Estonia? No.
I'm not sure I know the number. Do you know?
In Romania, for example, in Romania are around 10 documentaries per year. Something like this.
I think we have more.
I think it's more in Estonia, but that already depends again if you count all the, for example, TV documentary, which may on board to be as a program, or is it a movie, and
or some are making still films with almost no budget, but these count as well. But altogether, yes, Estonia, as its population is also just 1.34, it also means that actually the local film industry is just tiny a little bit. It's compared to Romania.
But what I wanted to comment also about this quality of program was that what I've liked this far, we've had no kind of special categories in our program. And that means that we may have at this side-by-side student film and the film from big production companies, because again, you don't necessarily need those to categorize them in that way, because you may have of course student film which is obviously student film with not that good quality, but you can also have very strong ones, and then you don't need to put the sign that it's, this is student film. And this
separate them, which is expected with like A-level festivals. You have to have very clear borders. But in our case, we mix it content-wise and topic-wise.
I mean, and talking about, I think this quality is also a big part of it. Is the programming team who takes care of this.
And this traveling to festival could help, and in which way?
Like us being here?
Yes,
I haven't been back to Astra for a long time, but I feel that going to a few festivals is important, not primarily in terms of like finding films, but kind of looking back to your own event and seeing the different audiences, how the films work in different contexts, and like to retain this sensibility. But I think you should also say that because you are not going to many festivals. Well, me not, but like being here. What do you think?
Can you say something
about being here and about Astra, about how it is to travel to a festival? And
of course, it's really important to see how the other festivals are organized and what kind of films they show. Yeah, like Pille said, what kind of audience they have and how it all works together.
Yeah, well, it's useful in many ways. I mean, one thing is to just refreshing yourself and to get some ideas with how to do or how to do.
Think about your own festival.
And think about your own festival, but also it's a way to put yourself in a positions you usually are not. I mean, to a position of an audience. Organizing a festival each year, you don't have a chance to be in that situation. So it's nice to be in that position too.
Have you seen any Romanian documentaries, and what are your expectations related with, I don't know, Romanian documentaries, topics, subjects?
For me personally, it's also actually more happy about having this whole Romanian, but also Eastern and Central European documentaries. That Astra is one of the few places where you can see them, because like in other European festivals, it is so mixed. There would be like from these big countries a lot of films, or this disappears. But in Astra, you get to see what's being done, but it's also the similar societies the filmmakers are working with. So it's very interesting. I think you have seen maybe more films, if you can remember any films.
I've seen. You mean Romanian films I've seen here, or Romanian films we've had on our festival, or what they? I think they find documentaries. These ones I saw this far about Romania or done in Romania. I'm not these few I've seen, because I can't talk about the overall trends, because obviously I don't know much about them. It seems to me that there's, I kind of feel this wave of dealing more with the past of Romanian complicated history and stuff. But I'm not sure if the feeling is right. It's just what it seems to me.
The direction.
And post-Soviet or post-socialist. We say post-Soviet because we were Soviets, but altogether all this also dealing post-socialist
identity team, searching for identity. I think that the Estonian one we had in selection last year is focusing on the same.
So we have common topics which is completely different from like last year in our festival. I think we had discussion about one submitted film which was dealing with Belgian and colonialism, and one member of our team identified very much with it, whereas I would say that I always understand better. Although as a social studies person I should also get these global topics, but our context has much more meanings, I think, to us.
Yeah, maybe, yes. But
it's individual. This is why I'm saying that one of the it was really interesting, this memory work in the context of relations between Africa, whereas in our case it's relations to this being in this big region, which is meaningful. 20th century altogether.
Well, yeah, talking about Romanian movies more, it's just that it's not that I'm amazed, but I think it's what I like most are the like common movies about common people. I've seen some, which it's normal, good quality movies about normal people, I'd say, or not that normal maybe sometimes, but it's
yes.
I mean it's not
ordinary people.
Yes, ordinary people. Yes, so they're fine, for me.